topic is what are antioxidants, or the power of antioxidants. And so it's really is based on fresh fruit and vegetables. So the importance of eating them and all the nutrition that you get from them. So first question is, what are antioxidants? And antioxidants are man-made or natural substances that may help to prevent or delay some type of cell damage. Example, antioxidants include vitamins A, C, and E, selenium, carotenoids like beta-carotene and lycopene. So today we'll be talking about antioxidants and what foods they are in and how they can impact inflammation and how it can reduce stress in the body and reduce risk of disease. So Mary, where can you find them?
Yeah, so Nancy mentioned that they're in fruits and vegetables, and we have a pretty display of some of them right here that are really high in antioxidants. But they're also in different colors. But right now you can see they're in orange foods, like the oranges we have here, but also carrots and sweet potatoes. And then we have the green foods, such as broccoli, spinach, artichokes, even avocados, and kale. So all different kinds of vegetables in different colors. The fresh fruits that are high in antioxidants are also various colors. And an example would be red, such as the red grapes, raspberries, strawberries, and cherries. And Nancy's going to show you a great recipe later that includes some berries, which are delicious. Or blue, like blueberries, and you kind of get the idea. Dried fruits also have antioxidants, dried apples, figs, pears, plums, dates, and raisins. So, we just want to make sure that for the dried fruits that we watch the added sugar content, and we want to try for a serving of less than 6 grams of added sugar per serving. So this is the recommendation of the U.S. Dietary Guidelines. You can kind of look at the food label, and it'll say total carbohydrate, and then just below that, it'll say added sugar. So we want to kind of shoot for that target of less than 6 grams of added sugar, because those are sugars that are added later.
And Mary, both of our recipes, she's using figs and I'm using dried cherries. And it does add a little sweetness to the recipe and a little chewiness, but we don't overdo it. It's just kind of like a little bit in the recipe.
Right, and I do think that some of that sweetness is nice to have a different flavor profile, but also a different texture, like you said. So I think that will be good to. I'm glad that we have those in the recipes.
Yeah.
So also herbs have antioxidants, and we know sage, thyme, mint, oregano, basil, dill, parsley also contribute antioxidants. So those are really important to include in your recipes as well.
And people are getting now in the habit of cutting up fresh herbs and throwing into your salad. It smells so good. And now is a good time to maybe start your little herb garden, possibly, in preparation of putting it outside.
Yeah, absolutely. We actually have a topic on gardening and fresh fruits and vegetables coming up
in May,
our Living Well class. Yeah, in early May. So you can look for that one. We're going to talk a little bit about some gardening things that you can do that aren't too complicated. I even think you can buy those little potted herbs at the store and keep those around. You can put them in a bigger pot, and we're going to talk about that. It's a little preview. But it is easy to use them.
Yeah.
And now we can grow them so they're not as expensive.
Yeah.
So adding spices to foods have some anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties as well. So we talk about cinnamon and turmeric a lot because those are very high in those anti-inflammatory properties.
And we like to use them in cooking, shaking them into cooking.
Yes.
Rather than taking it orally in a supplement form.
Especially during treatment, we don't recommend the supplement form. But I think, adding a little cinnamon to your yogurt is really easy to get those anti-inflammatory properties.
Yeah, and you don't even know you're doing it.
That's right. So other spices are cumin, mustard seeds, ginger, pepper, paprika. I like the smoked paprika too. It's got kind of a different flavor profile. And garlic, of course.
Yeah.
Garlic has a lot of good benefits.
And we mostly use it fresh because we like peeling and chopping up the garlic. But you can use garlic powder too, if
Yeah.
you're in a pinch or you want to just get the dinner on the table. But I love to saute with the garlic and tomatoes and zucchini, you know, putting that together. It's really good.
Whenever we're cooking here, we always, when we put in the onions and the garlic, we always start getting staff come in and ask, what are we cooking?
Yeah,
Because it's got that nice aroma.
yeah.
So adding cinnamon to oatmeal too is a good idea. We talked about yogurt, and then turmeric or ginger to sweet potatoes. I love to add turmeric to cauliflower and broccoli when I'm roasting it.
Or even roasted carrots. You know, those are
Definitely,
good.
so
Yeah.
good. Yeah, delicious.
Yeah.
Whole grains, nuts, and seeds also have antioxidants. So you can think about oatmeal, walnuts, hazelnuts, pistachios, almonds, cashews, and peanut butter, or even nut butters, like other nut butters, like almond butter. Or if you have a nut allergy, then you could do almond butter.
Sure.
Or, I'm sorry, not almond butter, sun butter
Yeah.
or sunflower seeds. So these antioxidants, where do you find them in the body?
Yeah, so this part can be a little confusing. We kind of talk different ways, but antioxidants, they're beneficial to us. They've been shown to counteract oxidative stress from free radicals in the body. The body naturally produces antioxidants to counteract these free radicals as well. So that's the good part. Antioxidants battle free radicals. Free radicals are highly unstable molecules that are naturally formed when you exercise, so that's a good thing. And when your body converts food into energy. So that's the good free radicals. But you can also be exposed to free radicals through environment, such as cigarette smoke, air pollution, and sunlight. And those are the ones we want to avoid. Well, it's hard with sunlight, but you know, not to overdo it, I guess. Free radicals can cause oxidative stress, and that's a process that can trigger cell damage. Some free radicals can have a positive effect by preventing oxidation, such as during exercise. But acute bouts of endurance exercise can increase oxidative stress. So you kind of do what you can. I think keep moving is a good thing, but I think like walking, swimming, bike riding is all really good forms of exercise. Too much intensity, do it in smaller amounts, I think. If it's a lower intensity exercise, then oxidative stress remains unchanged. And oxidative stress is thought to play a role in a variety of diseases, such as diabetes, Alzheimer's, and cancer. I wanted to just refer to a handout, which you're going to receive after this presentation. And it's shown like this, the Power of Antioxidants, and it talks about antioxidants and free radicals again. So you'll be able to review it. What all the point of it all is good habits like exercise, eating healthy. That is going to help decrease the amount of free radicals in the body. So it's going to be good things for you. And the bottom line is to get away, if you can, from cigarette smoking, try to avoid it or stop smoking. And, you know, just things like that. Pollution, do the best you can. So, all right. So Mary, are food or supplements the best sources of antioxidants?
Yeah, so as dietitians, we always talk about food first. Food sources of antioxidants are the ones that we have found to reduce those free radicals and oxidative stress that Nancy just talked about. So those help with the ones in the body that the body is naturally producing. So we really want to try to get raw fruits and vegetables, whole grains, and nuts, just as we talked about, that will have those antioxidants. Supplement forms of antioxidants have been researched thoroughly and have not been found to prevent disease, and in some cases can worsen the disease progression or tumor growth in certain types of cancer. So the bottom line about that is that we want to make sure that we're getting the food source, because in foods, we know that there are certain nutrients, but they have the right balance. And your body absorbs them the way that it can use them the best. If you're having a tablet form, for example, of electrolytes, if you have a high potassium, that may, if you're taking that in tablet form, it may throw off the magnesium or the other electrolytes. So tablet form, unless you get that from your doctor, is not recommended.
Yeah.
You want to get those antioxidants from foods.
And it could be dangerous. I think don't unnecessarily take things unless it's been recommended by your oncologist. Yeah, it's just too much sometimes. I think some people who don't like to eat fruit and vegetables think that that's an alternative. Some of these supplements you hear on the news, they're really not intended for, a replacement for fruits and vegetables. You really should take smaller steps and start trying every day to get a few sources of fruit or vegetables and trying new ways of cooking, like what you're doing tonight. She's caramelizing, she's roasting vegetables, they caramelize and they take on a different flavor than just steaming vegetables. So kind of stay open-minded and try a few different methods of cooking to try and increase your like of vegetables.
I think too, we do get a lot of questions about, can I take this pill form of fruits and vegetables, or can I juice the fruits and vegetables? And we know that even when you're juicing, it's very concentrated. And so that may throw off your body's balance as well. So we're happy to answer questions about it. And we do get that a lot. What type of supplements should we use? And should we have this from food? And usually we do recommend food first because that is going to give you the right balance. It's kind of like milk. Milk has calcium, magnesium, and vitamin D, which is the perfect triumvirate for calcium absorption. So,
but it's not the perfect food because it doesn't have iron in it. So that's why you get a good source of nutrients, but you can't just live on milk alone. You need to incorporate a variety of foods.
Exactly.
Yeah, I remember that question as a kid. There was a question on the TV. Which is the perfect food, milk or an egg? And neither one. They both have good properties, but they don't have it all. So I was just going to say too is that our bodies are pretty well wired to keep a good balance of everything. But when you start taking supplement form, it can create toxicity in some, like the fat soluble vitamins. And then that's a whole different story. So food first is the way we like to go.
And that's the best source of nutrition for our bodies.
Yeah.
So there are major vitamins and minerals found in these antioxidant-rich foods. What are they?
Okay. So vitamin C, and that's why Mary and I chose to have citrus as our display. It's cheerful and, spring is on its way. So vitamin C, we can get it from food. Grapefruit's also in that category, but some people can't have grapefruit. So there can be sometimes on heart medications or other things. So you have to check.
Cancer medications as well.
Right. So you have to check with your doctor or pharmacist if there's an interaction, because that's a common one. But anyhow, and we do like eating the whole form of vitamin C rather than too much juice because there's a lot of sugar in that. So it's nice to eat an orange or squeeze lemon into your water and using lime and various things. Vitamin E is another one. It's a good source is fish. So try to get two servings a week or even 3 if you can. Vitamin A, that's a pretty common one. It's the orangey beta carotene, such as carrots, sweet potatoes, and other orangey vegetables. And that's
squash.
Right. And I was just going to say, like, you can eat them raw or you can cook them. But it's pretty widely out there. Pumpkin, when you start thinking about the squash or acorn squash, and sweet potatoes gotten a lot more popular because there's different ways of preparing it. It's not just the holidays, and I don't like sweet stuff added to sweet potatoes. And when you roast them, sometimes you'll see a little ooziness come out, and that's like real sweet. So if you do roast a whole sweet potato, I always put parchment paper on my sheet pan, because if it does cause any oozing, like if there's a little bit cut off of the end, it's hard to get out of your pan because it bakes on. Also minerals, copper is a good source for shellfish, nuts and seeds, zinc, red meat and poultry, and selenium like Brazil nuts, bananas, and eggs. So pretty common foods. It's good to eat a variety of foods to ensure that you get all the vitamins and minerals that you need and eat for a variety of color. So we don't want you trying to keep track of everything. Wait one second. But you can just eat a variety. Oh yeah, so also refer to this Power of Antioxidants handout once again. There's a second page that lists a lot of the foods and other sources. So like fish, vegetables, herbs, spices, of where you can get your antioxidants. So it's a nice little handout. So Mary, because antioxidants protect tissues from damage, what foods should we decrease to prevent unwanted inflammation in the body?
Yeah, the American Cancer Society recommends to have less red meats, especially the processed meats. And they would recommend to have nitrate-free. So you can look on the labels for like bacon or sausage or other processed meats and look for the nitrate-free, because those are going to have the nitrates that are not, there definitely has an increased risk of colon cancer.
We're not promoting those foods, but once in a while, if you want something like that, the better choice is nitrate-free. They're loaded with saturated fat, which we're trying to decrease, and salt too. But it's not, we're not perfect. So if you do want bacon one time, get the nitrate-free. So.
And red meats too are, sometimes we have patients that are anemic. And so red meat has the most absorbable heme iron. So you have to kind of talk with your dietitian.
And vitamin C with the heme helps increase absorption.
That's right. You want to have your antioxidants with your red meat.
But not everyone has to avoid red meat. Might have to get real strict with it. Usually rectal, colon cancer, kind of more in the GI area, people should limit to maybe 3 times a month even. But people with breast cancer can all maybe even have it twice a week. I mean, we try to promote more fish, poultry, and meatless meals, but, and then watching your portion size too is important.
Yeah,
want a smaller amount and more vegetables, so.
We want to also not overdo it with refined grains. So the food guide pyramid says that we want to have half of our foods be whole grains. So we want to avoid kind of white bread, white rice, pasta, and choose whole grains when possible. These whole grains are part of that Mediterranean diet and lifestyle that we talk about a lot. And so that would mean whole grain pasta, whole wheat bread, brown rice. So the refined grains are something that we want to avoid to decrease that inflammation. However, certain patients, if they're in treatment and they need to have a low fiber diet, then all of a sudden we are talking about those. So we want to make sure that it really depends on the individual, and then you speak with your dietitian. If you're having GI concerns, then we may need to go back to the more bland foods like the white bread and the white rice. So it's just a matter of moderation and making sure that you're avoiding those in the bigger picture, but the whole grains are still okay.
And also, I was going to say, whole grain pasta, more and more choices of the pasta or shapes are out there, and just try them. They taste the same, but you're getting the added benefit of fiber.
Well, and a lot of times I have families that say, I don't want to try the brown rice, or I tried it once and I didn't like it. So if you do half and half, like half white rice, half brown rice, then a lot of times families will like that, and it'll help, and it'll still give more fiber. That keeps us full longer, which is better for our weight maintenance. So snacks such as chips, cookies, pastries, sugar sweetened beverages should be treated as occasional treats. We want to limit fried foods. So maybe try hummus, nuts, like a low sugar trail mix, or even a granola. That'll give you some alternatives. So overall, foods high in fat, sugar, and refined carbs can trigger that inflammatory pathway. An imbalance between fats, omega-6s, and omega-3s can cause the inflammatory response. So red meats and fried foods and some processed foods that are high in omega-6s are going to cause that imbalance. We want to have those omega-3s, like the fish we were talking about, and have that balance in a little bit more of a 2-to-1 ratio, as opposed to a lot of snacks and a very little amount of fish. So try to include those good sources of omega-3s like avocado, salmon, tuna. I think tuna is a really easy way to include it, because we can get canned, we can get in those little packets, walnuts, almonds. So we really want to choose those omega-3 fatty acids and less of the omega-6 containing foods.
There's other nuts too that contain them too. They're a good source of vegetable protein. And a lot of doctors, if you're struggling with your appetite and trying to maintain your weight or even gain weight, they tell you to keep a container of some of your favorite nuts by your chair. It's an easy snack that's accessible.
I really like the idea that you talked about with Brazil nuts and selenium. I was reading one doctor's recommendation about having one Brazil nut a day, and it gives you some extra antioxidants. So I like the, the variety of nuts.
Yeah.
You're getting a variety of nutrients from those as well.
Mhm.
So sugar intake is also associated with that inflammatory response, and it may raise that LDL or that bad cholesterol. So it increases the production of C-reactive protein, which is a marker for inflammation. So we recommend a diet that's lower in sugar, lower in salt, higher in antioxidants.
Yeah. The big thing with sugar is it helps with weight control too. And it takes time. If you have a sweet tooth, you kind of have to start, first thing is get away from sugary drinks and maybe have more fruit in your diet. And if you really want something end of the day, something sweet, a little piece of dark chocolate and let it just melt on your tongue. They also have frozen bananas in dark chocolate. And, those are a nice little treat too.
Easy to make.
But your taste buds readjust. If you start getting away from all those sweets, the other thing to be careful of is sugar substitutes because they're made so well that they taste sweet. And then that keeps reinforcing your desire for sweetness. So I personally try to avoid sugar substitute so that I'm not hooked on that sweet taste.
Yeah, I think sometimes some of the research is showing too that if you're having sugar alternatives and fat alternatives, you're not getting that satiation from those higher fat, higher sugar foods. So have it and enjoy it, but then do it in moderation.
Yeah.
Right. So what's the role of oxidative stress in the development and progression of cancer?
Yeah, so this is another kind of confusing part, but oxidative stress increases DNA damage, genomics instability, and can increase the growth of cells that could lead to cancer, carcinogenesis. So again, to decrease the oxidative stress in our body, eat more foods that are high in antioxidants. And then once again, I'm just like, refer to this handout. It kind of breaks it down in more simplified terminology. So now, Mary, how would antioxidant therapy help in alleviating cancer progression?
Yeah, so studies have found that increasing the consumption of antioxidant-rich foods have been found to prevent that free radical formation that we talked about in the beginning. So a powerful antioxidant known as glutathione is associated with detoxing those carcinogens and promoting healthy cell survival. So that is a good thing to know about antioxidants, that we need those to help promote those healthy cells. However, if you have too much of a good thing, kind of like what we were talking about with supplements, it's been associated with tumor progression if you have glutathione. So it's really best to stick to food the way we talked about.
So don't take a supplement of that.
Exactly. Right. Glutathione, a powerful antioxidant, is found in spinach, asparagus, okra, I love okra, and avocado. I'm from West Virginia.
Yeah, that's why, because I didn't grow up with it, and it's kind of like, but avocados are good.
So, what are some risk factors? We talked a little bit about this, but what are some risk factors for oxidative stress?
Yeah, so again, talking about diets that are high in fat, high in sugar, high in processed foods, they're on the list of, decreasing on the Mediterranean diet and lifestyle. But those also are a risk factor of oxidative stress, eating those type of foods. Also, cigarette smoking and tobacco exposure, alcohol, and that's something, it's a conversation with you and your doctor. Some say avoid it, some, give you a parameter. Pollution, stay indoors if the pollution is high. I know there's a lot of burning fields right now for plant, whatever it's called, controlled burns. So I have asthma, I avoid those areas. Industrial chemicals exposure too. So conditions linked to oxidative stress can be cancer, diabetes, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, asthma, and stroke. So is there a notable difference in taking an antioxidant-rich food versus a single antioxidant supplement, Mary?
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of reinforce, getting a variety of antioxidants from food rather than the single antioxidants from a supplement is more beneficial. So, for example, mental status changes are common when ingesting too much vitamin A from a supplement. There's a risk for seizure, headaches, blurred vision. We talked a little bit about the fat-soluble vitamins. They can contribute to toxicity because they're stored in the fat in the body. So
And
they're stored
Those are supplement forms, not from food, but from,
exactly
Yeah.
from supplements. So if we're having these supplements and they're stored in the body, they can lead to health problems. Another example is consuming excessive amounts of vitamin D, which can cause the body to absorb too much calcium and lead to calcium deposits in your organs. So vitamin D specifically, we know that some research shows that if you're low in your vitamin D, that having vitamin D can help decrease risk of recurrence as far as cancer goes. But
often in breast cancer.
you want to make sure that you're talking with your doctor about it, right?
Right, and usually your medical oncologist is regularly taking labs, like when you go for your follow-up visit, there's labs involved, and from there, from the blood work, then they can recommend if you need to take a supplement form, or they might just tell you to, like calcium, make sure you're getting a lot of dairy or calcium-rich foods, plus in addition to taking calcium, but each situation is different. Let your doctor guide you as to what you should take in a pill form, and then the rest do on your own, eating a variety of foods.
Exactly, yeah. Usually your primary care physician will be monitoring that vitamin D level for you. So what about antioxidant therapy? Is it contraindicated in people with certain cancers that are undergoing chemotherapy?
Yeah, so while antioxidants are a powerful substance in preventing and treating some diseases, in people who have cancer and are receiving chemotherapy treatments, antioxidant supplements are a no. Contraindicated, but no. Antioxidant supplements can be dangerous because of their ability to rapidly increase tumor growth rate.
That's in a pill form.
Right. So antioxidants in a pill form is not recommended for patients who are undergoing chemotherapy. And it's because it can decrease the effectiveness of the treatment. So usually the doctor, the APN, the dietitian will review that and will advise you to stop any over-the-counter supplements, especially vitamins A, C, E, and zinc.
Multivitamin.
The multiple vitamin. But chemotherapy is intended to kill bad cells, and supplements protect all cells. So actually those supplements are working against the treatment. And that's why we want you to stop. I know some people are they've been taking these multivitamins for years, and it's really, they feel like it's helped them, but in certain situations like chemotherapy, you really need to stop it to get the full benefit.
We are okay, or the recommendations are okay with having a B complex, just so you're not having those ACE, they spell ACE bandage.
Yeah, but you have to be careful because some B complex also has vitamin C in it. So you really have to watch your label carefully. B complex by itself or B12 is okay, but if it says B complex with vitamin C, then no, because you don't want that vitamin C.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what are other supplements not recommended during therapy? Others might be like CoQ10, curcumin, which is turmeric, fish oil, omega-3 fish oil, multiple vitamins, selenium, vitamin A, C, and E, like Mary said, the ACE, zinc, or herbal supplements. These supplements can interfere with treatment and should be avoided, and just try to eat a healthy diet as best you can to get the nutrients from it. And the whole herbal supplement thing, you have to be careful too, because they're not regulated by FDA, Federal Food and Drug Administration. Like even like herbal teas and that, like I try to get them from US sources, like Tazo, Bigelow, but herbal supplements, they're not regulated. So you really have to, we usually tell people not to take them when they're going through chemo. So.
Well, and another reason is because they may have ingredients added because the Food and Drug Administration is not monitoring. We don't really know what is in there.
And the purity of it.
Exactly. Yeah. So we just don't know if those added ingredients may interfere with treatment, and we want to maximize that treatment.
So we do have like 4 food demos we want to do. So I'm going to have Mary summarize, and then we'll get started.
Yeah, so the bottom line is to eat a healthy diet that includes fresh fruit and vegetables as part of the Mediterranean lifestyle and diet. We recommend more chicken and fish, more of those yummy fruits and vegetables, whole grains, low-fat dairy. And you really want to try to get your nutrition from whole foods. That's a big takeaway from this one. Instead of relying on supplements. Don't forget to eat for color. We have a lot of pretty color right here, but also in the foods that we're going to make next. And then we're going to go ahead and start with some recipe demos. So I'm going to start first, and I'm going to walk over here
Okay,
to
let's
the.
just come with a recipe.
Oh, the recipes.
Yeah.
Okay, so so first we're going to do the roasted red pepper dip. So we're going to start with an appetizer, and then you're going to do.
I'm gonna do a salad. It's a beet salad with spinach, and I use dried cherries. And then we're gonna put almonds on it because we have those available.
And then I'm gonna make a, or I made, or I'm gonna put it together for you, roasted Brussels sprouts and broccoli salad with some lemon zest. And it's topped with smoked almonds and sliced dates for that yummy,
Is eggplant in there too?
the eggplant is in the
Oh, the
roasted red
first one.
pepper dip,
Okay,
yeah.
sorry. I knew she had purple in one of her recipes. And then we're gonna finalize it with a triple berry crisp. And I made it low sugar. So you'll get your berry antioxidants from the berries.
Yeah, all right, so let's get
Yeah.
started. I'm gonna talk about the roasted red pepper dip first. And I hope that you can see all the different colors in here. So we talked a little bit about what the ingredients are, but I want to let you know what I did first was, I roasted 2 red peppers, an eggplant, a red onion. I'll try to hold this a little bit closer. There you go. And some garlic. And then I chopped it up in pretty small cubes. And then with the garlic and the onions and the peppers and everything, and then you basically roast those and then put it in the food processor and add a couple of tablespoons of tomato paste. So I like to keep the red pepper top to kind of garnish. I think it looks pretty and it kind of shows you what's in the food. But you can see there are lots of beautiful colors, and really it tastes really good. It's just mainly roasted vegetables. But it's so amazing. So I like to make this for everyone at my house. They love it. It's got a lot of beautiful colors, very high in antioxidants with those red peppers, the eggplant, the red onion. And it really, that's all it is. So the fact that you can roast it and make this beautiful dip just with those, it's so healthy. It's very low fat, high in fiber, and super colorful. So I encourage you to really try this recipe. It's one of our favorites at home. So I'll let you talk with Nancy next about the next recipe, and she's going to be talking about salad.
All right, so when you make your dinners and everything, we want you to keep it simple. We're not looking for elaborate dishes. So I'm making a spinach and beet salad, but you can also roast some chicken on the side and just have a nice salad with the chicken and get a nice meal. So I'm using fresh spinach, and even though it's triple washed, I give it another washing. Sometimes spinach can have a little grit to it. So, and we recommend that for people going through treatment, that if they buy bagged lettuce, to give it another washing. So any of your pre-washed vegetables. So here's some salad. Like if you aren't big on kale, spinach is always a great substitute. So you don't have to like find a recipe and like, oh, kale and go the next. You can substitute ingredients. So then these are beets. And beets, if you buy the whole beets in the store, you've got to roast them and they can take a long time. But Trader Joe's, they have some wonderful little steamed and peeled beets, and they come in a little package and you just slice them up. These are from France. You can eat them hot or cold, and it just gives you a little shortcut. But beets are really delicious. And even if you're like, I don't know if I like them, give them a try. And you can even saute them with a little onion if you want, or they're really good cold in a salad. Some people just have cottage cheese with it and you have a nice little beet dish. And then we're using an English cucumber, which I like because they're seedless and they have like a little curl to their edge. So it's like a little ruffly look to them. And, you know, when I was cutting these up, sometimes I like to cut, I don't want everything round, which I do have round here, but I like the look of these cucumbers and I thought I'll just keep them round, but sometimes chopping them up in different sizes gives you that mouth feel. And Mary had 2 tops to her red pepper and I said, I want that one top because I wanted to just show you that you don't have to just stick to the recipe. You can add other vegetables too, because we do strive to get 5 to 7 or 6 to 8 servings of vegetables or fruit a day. And it sounds overwhelming at first when you think of it, but if you do like a egg omelet or frittata, you can do vegetables that way. And then if you have a snack, like a banana with peanut butter, I love that combination, or a salad, you know, it adds up and then you're like, wow, I made it. This is just some little mandarin orange segments. They're come in a can, they're just in water, so they're not like any, there's no sugar, extra syrup or anything, but they're pretty and easy again to just open and put together. And then this has blueberries, and blueberries are in season now. These are just fresh blueberries, so you can add a little fruit to your salad and it's delicious that way. And you get all these antioxidants. So those are round. And then I added dried cherries because I love cherries and they're good for your joints. And I don't know, they just add that nice chewiness in contrast to your vegetables and all. And then we're going to top it with a little feta cheese. If you're not big on feta cheese, I'm sure Parmesan would work easily. But you don't have to overpower it either. Just put a little and get used to the taste. And then I have some almonds too. I'm just going to leave separate, but if you do serve nuts, let people add them themselves. I feel like cashews are a great way to add nuts to salads. And then the salad dressing is just like a vinaigrette. And I make substitutions when I make my salad dressing. I started off with some olive oil and I had Dijon mustard and I had a little squeeze of honey, but I didn't have white balsamic vinegar. So I used rice vinegar, which is fine because it goes well with citrus and all. And then let me see, I was gonna add some lemon juice too. So lemon juice and vinegar, they're just great in a salad. So I'm just using a press here and just squeeze it right in. Some nice fresh, it gives a nice little zing to it. Actually, I'm gonna put a little extra in too. Because I think with salads, you want that flavor, make it really alive and yeah. So, and then I'm just gonna stir this up with a whisk. And I've got a nice little homemade dressing, which I'm not opening a bottle, which is loaded with processed ingredients and ingredients you can't even pronounce. And then you can just put it over your salad. So, yeah. So, Mary, how about you? Your next recipe?
So our next recipe really can almost be done warm or cold. We've got here, I roasted the Brussels sprouts and broccoli. Now the broccoli I made in kind of tiny little florets. The Brussels sprouts are really, this one is even a little bit thicker. So they're pretty thin and you can see that they've kind of caramelized when they have been roasted. So you have the Brussels sprouts cut really thin, the broccoli, and then you have just the olive oil in here and the little garlic. And really, I could eat them just like this because they're delicious. So the tops get a little crunchy and just that caramelization that we talked about before. So so that's really it. That's how you start it. And once you roast those, then we're going to mix together in here. I have the dressing already, and it's just fresh lemon juice and also a little bit of olive oil. And we might even add a little more lemon juice after we get going because I want to taste it once we're all done. But the fresh lemon juice, like Nancy said, high in antioxidants, easy to use, and you can just squeeze it on. If you don't have, we have some fancier equipment here in Living Well, but if you don't have that lemon squeezer, you can use a fork and then just squeeze the lemon. So I am kind of putting these vegetables in here and we're going to kind of toss them with this dressing. And boy, I tell you, I love the smell of these. A lot of people are a little bit concerned about the taste of Brussels sprouts You either love them or hate them. They are really high in the antioxidants, but I love making Brussels sprouts with something acidic, like that lemon, the fresh lemon. And we also have in the dressing, there's a little lemon zest. So the lemon zest is really going to give that lemon flavor a little bit of oomph, and I love doing that. So the other thing, I did want to show you too, this is kind of how the vegetables come out when they're roasted for the roasted red pepper dip. So you can tell they're kind of like in little cubes, not super big, but they're definitely done. And then once you put them in the food processor, all the flavors meld together. So the other thing that we have in this dressing for back to the Brussels sprouts is this Thai chili sauce. So we have a little bit of lemon, we have a little bit of spice, we have a little bit of olive oil, and then you kind of mix that all together, and oh, it's really smelling good. So we're going to start assembling now, and we're going to put it in this beautiful dish. And it's still a little bit warm, but you could serve it cold or hot. So I'm kind of spreading those out a little bit. And then we're going to be adding some beautiful slivered Parmesan. So we don't need to add a lot either, but we do want to make sure that it's giving that savory kind of taste. And it actually adds a little protein too, which is nice. So, just kind of adding a little bit of that Parmesan. I like to recommend having the harder cheeses are more appropriate during treatment as well. We don't want to have the moldy cheeses because that could be an increased food safety risk during treatment. But the harder cheeses too, I like to recommend them. You can smell it. The flavor is so intense that you don't need a lot of it. You can use a small amount and then you have a less of the fat in there. If you're using the powdered kind, you're not getting that same oomph with flavor. So we're going to add that. And then I love dates in this recipe because it really helps set off that kind of taste of the Brussels sprouts. It's a kind of strong. So I use medjool dates, and they do have about 3 grams of fiber for 3 dates. So you're getting a little bit of extra fiber there. And they come pitted or unpitted. They're pitted, meaning there's no pit in them. And so these we just got, they were a little bit less expensive. So we got the ones with the pit in. So you just take that out. And then you can cut them however you want. I did them in pretty small pieces. And then we're just going to kind of sprinkle those in here. They look like they're going to be a great addition to just that Brussels sprout flavor. And then we've got the cheese. So we've got kind of the acid from the lemon and the sweetness from the dates, and then the different textures. And I think even my husband that doesn't like Brussels sprouts is going to like this one. I've been really dying to try this recipe, and now I think I know why. And then we also have some of these roasted smoked nuts, the almonds. And you don't need a whole lot, but it adds another little bit of texture. And they have a really nice smell too, because they're roasted ahead. If you get raw nuts, or even if you have whatever nuts you have around, Nancy talked about, we had this recipe that had the smoked nuts, so she just used this one in hers. Yeah. You can use whatever nuts you have in your pantry. I mix up all different kinds of nuts and different things. And, even if you're making a pesto, you don't always need pine nuts. You can use walnuts, a little bit higher in anti-inflammatory. So I would say, just kind of see what you have in your pantry and experiment, and don't be shy to do it. So there it is, our Brussels sprout broccoli salad with fresh dates and smoked almonds. So I hope you guys can try this at home. Now Nancy's going to give us a dessert for our dinner.
So I have to attest to what Mary said. I did not like Brussels sprouts growing up. I remember my mother would steam them, and when she lifted that lid, oh my gosh, it was just too much. But I do love cabbage and broccoli and cauliflower. but we were out to a dinner and they made creamed Brussels sprouts and I'm like, oh, these are good. But then I started roasting them and put a little balsamic on it or even dried cherries with roasted Brussels sprouts. And I'm a fan of them now. So we can always try new things. But this recipe here is a triple berry crisp. And what I do is I just had a saucepan and I put 2 cups of blackberries, 2 cups of raspberries, and 2 cups of blueberries. All of them are fresh berries. In the saucepan, I squeeze a lemon into it. And then well, before I put the lemon juice in there, I had like maybe a couple teaspoons of cornstarch and I mix that together and put that in and I put the lid on it. And then they started to kind of sweat themselves, like creating moisture. And then they just cook down to this kind of a jelly-like consistency. So there's no sugar added. And I've done that too with just blueberries. I put them in a saucepan, tiny bit of water and put a lid on. And I made like a blueberry compote, I guess you call it. And then we would put it over like plain yogurt. And it was delicious and served warm. Or if you have leftover, you can serve it cold too. So you don't have to add sugar. It's just they go down to like a blueberry filling, like pie filling. So I just then poured that mixture into this pan. And then this topping is just some oats with a little bit of flour. And I put like maybe a tablespoon of some sugar in there. And that was it. And I think what I would also like to add is chopped up walnuts would be good too. And then there's a little bit of butter, a 1/4 cup of butter, which I melted and then combined that mixture and put it over it and then baked it at 375. And I've served something like this at a dinner party because you're so full from the meal. And then I might have served a little vanilla ice cream with it. But you could even just serve this with some yogurt too, if you wanted, like a little yogurt topping. But you're getting so many antioxidants with those berries. And we're getting into berry season. So this will be a nice little thing to do. And I just chose like a little casserole dish so it's easy to bake with. But I've done them in ramekins too, where everyone's had their own individual portion. And that way you can just top it with a little bit of ice cream and serve it that way. So I wonder, you could probably do this with different fruits too. You could do peaches and blueberries or whatever your heart desires. So Mary, do you want to bring your dishes over and we can just kind of show what everything looks like here?
Good.
So yeah, so it didn't take us long. We did do a little pre-prep ahead of time. But simple meal, this can make a nice meal here. And I want to encourage you to make it yourself, but it have to be.
We ask if there are any questions. Yeah, we're welcome to take your questions if you have them. And then we know you're going to get busy cooking these recipes as soon as you're done with our program here. But we hope we gave you some ideas to get started with and, just kind of start incorporating the antioxidants. Nancy and I have done a fair amount of cooking in our lives, but we want to encourage people to try new things and just see how it looks complicated, but we're really here to show you that it's not and that anybody can do it. And, just try some simpler recipes. We do have, just so you know, on the Living Well Culinary Nutrition website, we do have a lot of recipes.
Yeah.
So she's going to put the link. Ashley's so great to help us here.
Yeah.
She's going to put the link right in the chat so you can go right there and get the recipes.
And these are all tried and true because we used to do a lot of classes prior to COVID where 6 classes a month and we were doing all these different type of recipes. So what's in there we've tried. But also we have a new brochure coming out for the spring summer. So this is wrapping up the winter schedule. So then there'll be new classes coming up and we hope that you join us. We all base our classes on the Mediterranean diet or lifestyle. So you're going to hear that word over and over and anti-inflammatory and eating the rainbow, but that's what works. And so we just have all different topics coming up to give you more ideas for healthy eating. So.